Hello, it's Beverly with the Intuitive Interior. This is not going to be your normal I Ching reading because this is really a comparison of um, how 2026's energy overall is going to be. But I've also done some research and I looked up not only what happened the last time we had a Yang Fire Horse year, but also what happened the last time we had a Yang Fire Horse year in a period 9. So, just to kind of give you a real brief overview, um, every 20 years, we've got the cycle that corresponds with this each of the sectors of the Bagua map. And we spent 20 years until 2023. It was the end of the 20-year cycle. That was period 8. Um, and period 8, or the number 8, goes along with skills and knowledge, with rapid advances in technology, with very bro culture kind of energy. It was a really intellectual. It was a lot of learning. You wanted to know as much as you could, cracking the secrets of the universe, that kind of stuff. Well, period 9 goes along with the fame and reputation sector of the Bagua map, and that's the South. That is the energy of that sector. It is one that deals with the rise of women in authority. It's about communication, learning how to tell the truth, learning how to speak the truth, learning how to tell when others are lying. What are they saying about you when you're not around? What kind of reputation do you want to leave out there? So that's kind of that overarching 20-year cycle that we're in. That's the hum that is underneath everything. Yang fire energy is absolutely marvelous. It's represented by the sun. The sun, everybody loves a beautiful sunny day. The postcard energy of that, especially if you've got a few little white wispy clouds. That's that little yin water element that kind of helps to keep that sun from just blaring on you all the time. But the sunlight can be overwhelming. Yes, it brings to light anything and everything that may have been lurking in the shadows. It uh, helps plants grow. We all need that vitamin D that in moderation, but because it's going to be such a strong Yang fire year, starting officially when the Lunar New Year hits on February 17th, but the feng shui starts everything on February 4th because that's part of the solar element of the calendar. I know, confusing. Just go with it. I've had to for the past 20 plus years. Uh, but that fire energy is going to be quite a change from that yin wood energy that we just came from. So yin wood is like, vines, it's flowers, it's pretty, it's soft, it's like my bamboo back here. Yeah, it keeps growing and growing, but after a certain point in time, it needs its nourishment. It needs to have some water for it to keep growing. Um, Yang fire, the sun, it doesn't need anything. It's just going to shine. And it's nonstop. It never, I mean, even when it's nighttime, the only reason why it's not shining on us at night because of the Earth's rotation. But the sun, it just keeps going. So there's going to be a relentless energy to next year. That relentlessness is going to be something that we really have to be aware of and honor, because if you know you're going to be out in the sun for a long time, you've got your sunscreen or your sun hat, or you find ways to find shade. So we are going to have to work hard next year just because of the yang sun part of moderating and helping us, making sure that we don't burn ourselves out. That's the piece that I really cannot stress enough. The other piece is the horse energy. The last time that we had a Yang Fire Horse year was 1966. The horse is about opportunity, it's about energy, it's about enthusiasm, it's drive, it's moving quickly towards whatever it wants to do. Here's a beautiful illustration of a yang fire horse in Vicky Iskandar's um, card deck. Uh, you can see that she's even had it illustrated where none of the horse's feet are on the ground. So this is a horse that is galloping at full speed, feeling really frisky under that beautiful sun, um, running through a meadow. And it's the words she has under there are effortless vitality. Now, I love that idea, effortless vitality. But again, we still have to sleep. We still need to be able to recharge and regenerate. Um, when this energy is present, the idea is that we will all feel very, very energized. It can also make us feel, well, a little bit too passionate sometimes. So we'll have to, again, that comes back to let's ground, let's reconnect with what our purpose is. Let's make sure that we don't get swept away by the enthusiasm and emotion of those around us. It is also, we're also going to all have a lot of new experiences next year. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in, everything is going to be changing. It always does. It doesn't matter what the political situation is, always going to be changing because that's how energy moves. That's just how life is. And I use the phrase "let go or be dragged." If that change is taking you places that you don't want to go, then yeah, you should think about letting them go and do their thing. Now, I just want to show you real quickly a chart, and I don't know if you can really read this or not, but this is what I've been going off of. This is an example of the 4 pillars in the Chinese astrology chart that I zi. You've got your year, month, day, and hour, and each of them corresponds with a different aspect of life. So here's a little bazi, bazi. I'm not Chinese. I don't know how to speak it. I try, but it's essentially the 4 pillars that I use when I'm doing my readings, and I love working them along with those who are versed in Western astrology because we're both looking at the same stars, but just through slightly different lenses, and that's really kind of fun. The excuse me, the year pillar is the one that most people are familiar with. The year pillar is like right now we're about to move into the Yang fire horse. And if you were born in 1966, congratulations, this is your year of birth. It doesn't mean that everything's going to go your way, but everything is going to have a bit more of a spotlight on you. And that might be uncomfortable for you if you've been trying to hide, if you've been trying to play small, if you have been, shall we say, unethical in any of your dealings, or untruthful rather, in any of the ways that you've been representing yourself. Those areas are also going to have a spotlight. So take that for what it's worth, but you're going to either be celebrated or maybe, if it's really bad, incarcerated. I'm not predicting that for anybody, but yeah, it could happen. And in our that when I say jokingly incarcerated, that actually can be mostly in our own minds. That can be where we find ourselves caught up in trying to play too many angles, and we figure out that and people figure that out and confront us. So that is not just for those born in 1966, but it's especially true for those 1966 babies. Happy 60th. Here's the thing: that the network, the year pillar also deals with the network that you are associating with. Who are you working with? Your friend group, even what country you are currently living in. It also represents how you are appearance wise. Like, what is your external representation? This might be the year for everybody to consider a new haircut. Maybe start that physical movement program, because again, horse energy is physical. It is, let's move, let's go, we're dynamic. I grew up on a farm and we had lots of horses. At one point, I think we had 40 head, mostly because my father just didn't know how to make them stop breeding. Well, he did, but he just didn't want to because he loved the babies. However, when a horse is damaged, there are times when the only thing that really it makes sense is, especially if a broken bone is or is extremely lame, they are not allowed to continue living. I hate to say that, but there were several times when I, as a child, had to get the sad news that, oh well, Dad had to put this horse down, or the vet had to come out and take care of the horse, because of how physical they are. Any kind of limitation, just they could not overcome without uh, without extreme difficulty. So this is the year to really pay attention to movement in a way that is appropriate for your level of physical fitness. I am not a runner. There's no way on this planet that I'm going to start training to go run an ultra marathon. That is never going to happen. I do go to the gym on a regular basis, but I know my limitations. So what I'm putting out there is know your limitations and try to push a little bit beyond that if you can, so that you too can take advantage of this wonderful energy, this effortless vitality that the horse is bringing. Again, this also is being represented here by card number 28. So this image here, and how I do this is because when you take the energy of the yang fire and the horse and you combine them in the I Ching, it gives you one of the cards in the deck. And that's how I came up with this. So this is, you can actually look this up online if you want. So if you want to get more information on this, this is going to be card number 28. It's called Excess. And if, for those who can see this, it is an image of a worker who is absolutely laden with tons and tons of baggage, packages, looks like rocks, clothing. In fact, it's so much that there's even a little tree that has started growing at the top. I don't know if he's trying to haul a tree someplace, but he's got bricks in there, and there's like a little teeny tiny moon at the top. And yeah, just he's really struggling. The words here are stress, overload, exhaustion, obsessiveness, gluttony, burdens, worries, and the breaking point. Whew. When I saw that, the first thing I thought was, okay, so since this year pillar is dealing with the social network, the environment, the market, the stock market, and then land and country, in addition to our social network, that tells me that we are about to have a really big change in, well, who's our allies? As far as a nation goes, it tells me that we are going to be stressing and burdening a lot of those who've been on our side. Many of those who've been watching the news, I've already seen some of that, but it's going to become even more so starting in as soon as this fire horse year really begins to gallop in. We're already feeling it, but it's just going to become a lot more soon enough. But it also says too that if you are thinking of doing some work on yourself physically, be careful, as I said earlier, watch just where your limits are, and just push a little bit against them. Because I know a lot of people, when they get excited about a new task or a new physical workout routine or anything like that, they go in a little too hot and heavy, and then they injure themselves. So we don't need to burden ourselves even more with that. Uh, but so have an accountability buddy to make sure that you're both keeping yourselves with a reality check. Okay, so the next pillar is the month pillar. This is a yang metal tiger energy, and when I combine the yang metal and the tiger together, I get number 49, revolution. Yeah. So the fire, excuse me, this is dealing with the career, like work performance, like the business outlook, your parents. It's about quality of life and government and regulation. So all of those are falling into this month pillar. So when I see that this uh, card that says revolution comes in, that really, again, combined with the excess, says, woof, we've got some changes. Transformation, a radical change. Give up the old to make way for the new, and a quantum leap. So while revolution sounds absolutely terrifying, because let's face it, there's some people out there who've been calling for um, massive changes without realizing the consequences. This actually feels more to me about how our work is going to shift. We have so much the AI boom. Yeah, I do think that there's going to be probably a correction in the market. It's sometime next year, because you don't get this overheated way in the stock market to be where it's at. Um, and the unregulated nature of the AI industry right now. Um, in addition, I think that we're going to have, like I said, quantum leap. I really also think too that because of how fast things are moving, there will be some really cool stuff that comes out of this next year. It is going to transform. So, before anybody gets all doom and gloom, there's some really neat things that I'm going to talk about after I finish with all of this, because I want you to have this information in your head before I start talking about what happened in the past. There's going to be a lot of reshuffling, and not only will we experience different regulations and restrictions, I think, in the way that America is going to experience, but it's also going to filter into other countries as well. How we work will change. AI, the quantum computing is going to radically shift all of that. Now, the next one, this is kind of where I want to focus on right now, is the day pillar. So historically, the day pillar, the day you were born and the animal sign that was present at that time, is one of the more important one, because it represents the self. It represents the type of spouse that you, or the partner that you are attracting or want to attract, or that will benefit you the most. It represents your personal relationships, your views, your thoughts, your feelings, your outlook on life, and also represents us as individual citizens of whatever country you happen to be in. When you combine the Yin Earth and the Rooster that's in the pillar of this particular chart, you get the Wanderer. This is card number 56, and you have this image of it looks like an old man with his walking staff, maybe an old monk just walking in a fog, in a haze in the wilderness. And the words here are traveling, adventure, movement, coping with unfamiliarity, pilgrimage, aloneness, and broaden your horizons. This is something to be aware that all who wander are not lost. We will be having some type of need to become comfortable with the uncomfortable with the discomfort that comes from all this stuff that's changing around us. There will be a sense of aloneness, I think, as people move from one mindset and are forced into another mindset. Only if you're clinging on so hard to what was, you have to open your hands so that you can be able to grasp what is coming in. Um, Everything about this next year speaks to instability, speaks to things changing, the ground moving under our feet, the old norms truly falling away. It also speaks to migration patterns. So there may be many of us who are moving from one area to another, from one country to another. I know, okay, that sounds so broad, but this feels much more momentous. This feels as if you literally are having to choose, um, am I going to stay where I am and just hope and pray that same old is going to keep on keeping on? Or are you going to get yourself into the mindset of, yeah, I'm going to have to get flexible. I'm going to have to prepare for the unexpected and for the unanticipated. And that flexibility is going to be that's the saving grace. That's what we are really having to like grab a hold of. The final card is a Yang Fire Tiger card. And this one is the Hour Pillar. The Hour Pillar is the one that deals with assets, investments, money, things that you've been kind of like the long-term wealth is what I'm talking about. It's the economy, it's creation, it's like creativity, it's desires, it's like how as your health, your ideas, your aspirations, your children, the projects that you're working on, those people that you're managing. And this combination of the Yang, Fire, and Tiger leads us to card number 57. This is called the family. And on this picture, you see just a wide variety of faces, ages, skin tones, genders, gender expressions. Some are happy, some are not necessarily sad, but kind of just all that whole range. And this says heredity, blood bonds, kindred spirits, ancestry, home life, community, intimate relationships, and our human family. This in the Hour Pillar speaks to the need to build your community. As we have, again, all of these other things, coming along, the work is going to be changing, that, how we work, there's a big, strong message of the phoenix rising from the ashes in that month pillar with that revolution card. This might be one of those times for you where you'll have to look at, well, how did my family handle things in the past? Do I have this inherited ancestral wisdom that I can call upon to help me manage all of these changes? Or can I look at what they did in the past and go, ooh, yeah, no, I saw that movie. We don't want that movie here. We're not going to go with those same patterns. I saw what that human family did back then. We know better now because we have the ability to transform. That's the thing about that. We know when we are being overloaded, and we can say, you know what? I'm going to pause. I'm going to shrug all this stuff off of my shoulders. I'm going to take that break now when I need to, so that I have the energy to wander, to go. Where is it that I need to go? And I may need to take that inner journey in order to know where the right path is. so I can find my tribe. So yeah, that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea over what's going on. Um, because now let's kind of go shift again to those who might have to think twice about how they're going to be guarding their energy, because again, all this fire energy is wonderful. We all need a little bit of that water element in our lives to cool off, to hydrate, to relax, but too much is like a raging river, and we saw some raging rivers do some very nasty things throughout the world. The opposite side of the compass from the horse is the rat. So anybody who's born in December, because December is the rat month. Anybody who is born in the year of the rat, or again has rat in any one of these other pillars, but especially those who are born in 1966, or excuse me, the rat. So that's 6 months. Anyway, whoever you'll know. You just go online, Chinese astrology, and then you can figure it out. You can even go on Chat GPT and ask, what is your, what is my Chinese astrology chart? That is not necessarily a bad thing. Okay. People get freaked out when they think, oh no, it's my clash year. It just means all of those changes that you've been putting off, that you don't want to do, all of those areas where you think, oh no, it's fine. It's fine. And meanwhile, everything is burning around you. That's when it's going to come up and say, you know what? It's not fine anymore. You know it's not fine. You need to stop pretending that it's fine. And it's time to make that change. Clashes are like sandpaper. Either you're going to get that really fine grit where you smooth things out, and it was like getting your a body scrub, and everything is just glowing and polished, and that's the version of clash that you want. Or sometimes if you're really resistant, then it's more like that big sandpaper that takes the bark off of trees. A lot of times we're at choice as to whether or not which type of sandpaper we're going to experience. Now, this brings me to the interesting part. I have 4 pages of notes here that I'm not going to read all of it to you, but I'm just going to pull out some of the highlights. So the last time that we had a Yang Fire Horse year, as I mentioned, was in 1966. And there were some interesting things that I found about currency. This was the year that the Australian dollar became a part of their country. They moved away from the pound sterling. So that was something different. Also, ATMs were invented, and we began to have the ability to pull money out of these automatic teller machines. There was also some really big health news that came up. Remember how we talked about health is such a big deal? The first artificial heart was installed in Houston, Texas. And again, here's the other cool part is fire element, especially period 9, or the number 9, it deals with hearts and eyes and like the circulation system. So if anybody's having challenges with your eyesight or with your heart, again, make those appointments. Make sure that you've got your stuff, that you're following up correctly. The other thing too that they started this sounds so terrible, but they started a research project on 10 beagles and outfitted them with devices to make it appear like they were smoking. And it was a 10-year, or it was an attempt to prove the link between smoking and emphysema. This is why animal testing is important, but horribly cruel. And it's so heinous in my mind. But so that was some of the health things. uh, as far as technology advances, something that really, again, I talked about the big things moving in. They started doing these automatic transcribing machines that worked with the DMV and law enforcement, so to facilitate that information getting to them. Uh, the first chatbot was named Eliza, and it began here in I think it was in Silicon Valley. And also, that was in 1966. Was getting back to the health piece, was the first documented case of HIV/AIDS that came to America. Now, again, the couple of other things, couple of other big shifts. We were in the Vietnam War at that time, and it was in 1966 that our president decided, let's go ahead and send more troops there because that's a good idea. So major escalation in the amount of U.S. troops there. That also led to a lot of political unrest at home in the U.S. We also had the Miranda decision. So you have a right to remain silent. That was a direct result of this June 13th decision. We had a lot of the protests with civil rights. This was when there was a group called the Mississippi Marchers and the Canton Negroes. They were gassed by highway patrol. So a lot of conflict between federal and state law enforcement agencies and people who think that this is the way they're doing things is not right. Again, seeing some echoes, even though we're still in the snake year, we're still feeling the heat. All right. The Black Panther Party was founded, and I just read that they essentially were reforming now in order to offer some protection against the ICE agents that they believe are targeting citizens unnecessarily. The Chinese Cultural Revolution started, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas debuted. I find that one to be one of the more heartwarming stories. But again, we think there's a lot of international chaos going on, but this is just in 1966. Somaliland won their independence from France. They had several of the colonies, the British colonies, declared independence and broke away. Guyana, Malawi, Botswana, Lesotho, Barbados. Again, a lot of colonization ending. And there's some talk here now about colonizing other places, and like I don't see that happening. But also a lot of other political unrest, a lot of fire. This fiery energy, it makes people hot-headed, and if you're not staying calm, if you're not staying disconnected from everybody else's chaos, you get swept up in it too. And so what also was happening is there were coups in the Central African Republic, Upper Volta, Syria, Ghana, Nigeria, Togo. There was rebellion in Indonesia, Rhodesia, South Vietnam. And we're over there messing around with North Vietnam, and South Vietnam was having their own stuff. And then Malaysia and Argentina. So volatility is, again, normal in just the way that the world works. But 1966 definitely stood out. Now, the last time that we had a period 9 fire horse energy, that was 180 years ago. I didn't go any farther back than that. I thought, okay, we're going to keep the history lesson to a minimum. But that was in 1846. 1846 was when the followers of Joseph Smith, the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, they left Nauvoo, Illinois, and they started making their way west. So I lived in Salt Lake City in Utah for a decade, and that's a big deal. The Mormons wouldn't have settled in Utah had they not had to leave Nauvoo. Texas, was formally installed. The Texas state government was formally installed in Austin, where I am now. The Liberty Bell was cracked when it was ringing for George Washington's birthday. Poland was having a revolution. We had open conflict between the disputed border of Texas and Mexico. So, yay, a Mexican-American war. What's going on right now? More conflict between Mexicans and the Hispanic population, all deemed undocumented, and our Americans government. There was a insurrection that started in Poland. Let's see, what else? California was annexed. The Oregon Territory boundary was officially delineated. The Santa Fe, New Mexico, so it was captured. Let's see, New Zealand basically started the process to break away from as a British colony. So again, a lot of that going on. And Iowa joined the U.S. And so that I thought was pretty interesting, with, again, talking about movement, talking about migration, talking about shifting. Now, I didn't go and do the full Chinese astrology chart for that, but you can see there's a theme here. Some of the really fun technological advances, because that technological, that communication advances. This is when the telegraph lines opened between Philadelphia and Baltimore. The rubber tire movement was invented. Baseball was officially, the rules were officially decided on. The saxophone was invented. We've got the sewing machine patent happened, and the rickshaw was invented. So again, lots of transformative ideas. And as someone who also knows how to sew, boy, am I glad that there's such a thing as a sewing machine and a serger. The Zeiss, the digital camera brand, they began operating. Ether, anesthesia, major medical advance happened. And so I'll be curious to see what happens this year as far as medical advances, because let me tell you, and it was a dentist. A dentist did that. Thank you, all the dentists who've done that, because I've had some dental work. Oof, I can't even imagine doing that without it. Kerosene, another massive fuel source. So all of these super cool things really did start happening. The other thing too, though, that happened that was concerning, there was a pandemic that I don't remember hearing about. If from 1846 to 1860, there was a massive cholera. It was a pandemic, not a, for everybody, but it was South Asia. And so the Great Famine, because of that was also started in Ireland, which then began more migration. So yeah, there's a lot of really transformative things that happen in every time period, but especially in these fire horse years, these Yang fire horse years. And while I would like to say that 2027 will be better, it's going to be a Yin fire goat year. The goat is a energy that is that kind of hides more of a Yin earth. So that's that loose soil. So we'll have, and Yin fire is like the little burning candle. What that tells me is, it's just we'll deal with that when we come to it. But as far as how to plan ahead, I think the most challenging months are going to, the most challenging month is going to be May, because we have this Yin fire snake energy, and the snake has a hidden fire in there. So we're going to have this, well, more of a stop, start, push, pull kind of a thing. And so that may add friction for us. April will be okay, only because we've got the Yang water. It's we're going to be kind of superheated, and that's going to kind of cool us off a little bit. Uh, June was going to be the Yang wood horse month. When you have Yang wood, that's like a tree. June could be kind of volatile because of all of that kindling that's around that could to burn. Um, September may be so August and September both have fire elements in them, and so that could also be a little tenuous. Um, but then I do think that November and December things will have calmed down again. We've got some of the animals that are coming in are more controlling. They're more they have the water element in it, and and that's going to kind of give us that little breather until the next year transitions. So um, I hope this helps. If you want some specific information as to what to expect for yourself, I will have a link in the show notes where you can get a Chinese, this Bazi reading from me. Um, but I also do date selection. So if you're really just needing to know, like, is this the better date to get married? What what kind of what are the better choices if I have choices as to when to have a surgical procedure done? I can help you decide between, one or the other, obviously all depending upon the doctor's schedule. I can also encourage you to look at the options for closing on a house, putting your house on the market. What day would be the optimal day to start a program or do a retreat? I can assist you on that based upon your personal Chinese astrology charts. Okay, that's one of my longer personal readings, and there's so much more that I could go into, but I think I've already probably downloaded a little bit more of my enthusiasm for all of these different dates. Um, if anybody is interested, the other dates that would be considered the period 9 Yang fire horse years, besides the 1846, which that's when all the German immigrants came over and started settling here in Texas. I thought that was an intriguing little bit. That's when Fredericksburg was founded. Um, but the other years, if you want to look it up on your own, 1666, 1486, 1306, 1126, 946, and 766. I'm sure that if you really wanted to go and play in the historical playground in that sandbox, you're going to have a grand old time. But that because those are the years too that kind of correspond. So anyway, thank you so much. I hope this was an enjoyable little travel down the forecasting idea as well as curiosity lane. That's kind of my happy place. So I hope you enjoyed it too. Have a good start to your 2026.